Hey everyone, welcome to the second part in my Developing Personal Style series. This is my cat Luna. I figured I would film by her today because I still don't have an extension cable for my microphone. I know there was a big gap between the first video in this series and this one, but I didn't really want to just bombard you with videos of the same series. I just like to kind of mix it up a little bit. This video in particular is all about choosing a color palette, and that's my favorite aspect just because color is a big part of how I put together outfits. Of course, like I'll say about a lot of these different videos, you can definitely do whatever you want. Like, if you want to just wear whatever color and not care about a color palette, just do it. Like, go for it. I don't care. However, for someone just getting into fashion, it can be really hard to figure out how to pair a bunch of different colors together. Plus, you could definitely end up pieces that you have no way to style because they just clash with everything else in your wardrobe. And having a color palette definitely makes shopping a lot faster as well. So how do you choose a color palette? A super easy way to start is to just make a list of colors you like, and you can get as specific as you want. So for me, for example, I don't wear yellow, but I wear marigold specifically. And that distinction to me is important because most shades of yellow I just really hate and I think they look bad on me, so I have to be really specific about what shade of yellow that I want to wear. Sometimes you really have no idea which colors you like if you think you like every color, you can't really narrow it down to a few. Sometimes it can actually help to go shopping with someone else because they'll make comments like, I've seen you look at red a lot, you must really like that color. And maybe you never thought before that you were particularly into that color, but you seem to just be subconsciously drawn to it, so that's a really good way to find colors to work with. You could also look online to find out what colors typically look good with your skin tone, hair color, and eye color. There's plenty of videos out there on that, so that could definitely be a really good place to start if you're not sure. Once you have your list of colors, try putting them all together to see how they look. You can do that either with physical clothing items or just on a computer, like making different colored squares. Ideally, every color in your wardrobe should all look good with each other. That way you can just kind of pick out any two pieces and you know they'll look good together. That way you don't have to worry about things clashing or looking a little off. You could definitely go for a minimalist monochrome wardrobe using only neutral colors, but I think a lot of people don't necessarily like doing that just because it's really fun to experiment with color. So an easy way to pick out a color palette is to start by choosing colors from each of 4 categories of colors, those being neutral colors, bold colors, bright colors, and pastels. I'll elaborate on each of these so that you know what's involved in each category. First category is neutrals, and I think pretty much everyone knows what neutral colors are. They're the whites, gray, black, brown, tan, any variation of those kind of colors. Neutrals are really easy to work with because you can pair them with anything and it'll just look good. These are used to anchor an outfit and tie everything together. Layering a bunch of colors on top of each other can be really messy looking and definitely get really overwhelming to the eye, so mixing in a few neutral pieces can tone it down and make things a lot more wearable. The next category I use is what I'm going to call bolds, but it's really just the more strong muted tones of color. So like in a hex color square like you'd see on Photoshop, it's the area towards the bottom right where the color is dark but still pretty saturated. These colors are often referred to as like earthy tones, sometimes they're called jewel tones, and these function more closely to the neutrals since they can really ground an outfit, and since the colors are desaturated, they aren't going to be overwhelming. These colors always come around in fall-winter season, and they tend to look really nice layered together just because they're such muted tones. Category 3 is the brights. So these are the really saturated colors, so like in the upper right corner of that gradient I showed you earlier. These grab attention, can get really overwhelming if not used sparingly. Although they are a lot of fun and really add kind of an upbeat feeling to an outfit, but this is where things like neons would fit in. These colors are really good for helping to provide contrast from the bolds and the neutrals, so they can definitely spice up an outfit a little bit. Mixing bright tones with those muted tones looks a lot more interesting and provides a really good balance. So these bright colors usually come around in the summer. The last group of colors is the pastels. Everyone knows pastels. They're desaturated but still really bright in color. These are in the upper left section of that hex gradient square. Pastels tend to feel really light and airy, and they can definitely add a brightness and a lot of color to an outfit without getting too in your face about it. So you see these colors pop up a lot in springtime. Pastels are a really good way to just keep an outfit from feeling too heavy. Mixing and matching colors from each of these groups is a great idea because it can really help pieces transition between seasons. You can tone down a loud piece, or you can just create contrast to help a certain item stand out. So just as an example, here's a breakdown of my personal color palette that I use and just how it fits into each of these categories. The neutrals I use are mostly black and white just because I like really high contrast. Sometimes I'll wear gray just because I tend to prefer cooler tones. I never wear brown, I think because my natural hair color is brown and I just got really sick of it and I just don't like how it looks on me. My bolds are burgundy, olive green, a mustardy kind of marigold yellow, and then plum. These are just colors that I've always been drawn to for some reason. Plus they're great fall colors and they tend to look really good with my skin tone. My brights are red, orange, and chartreuse. These are just 2 colors that I always get drawn to in a store for some reason. Chartreuse is also kind of because one time when I was in like 8th grade, I was shopping in Chicago and wearing a chartreuse shirt, and a lady at a high-end store complimented me and said like that I pulled off that color really well, and I've never really been told that about any color, so that kind of stuck with me and I still like it to this day. My pastels are like a minty blue and then lavender. Again, these are just colors that I really like and I think they complement the other colors in my wardrobe really well. However, I've never really been big on pastels, so I don't really have a lot of them in my wardrobe. Like lavender even is a really recent introduction. So I have kind of a mix of colors, just with an emphasis in those kind of bold, more saturated colors. But if you want to stick to one category, you definitely can. Just be aware that it does create a whole mood for your outfits. For example, neutral colors tend to look just very classic when used by themselves, but they can change a lot depending on what else they're paired with. Like if you pair brown with pastels, it'll look kind of cottagecore, whereas if you pair a brown with a bold color, it tends to give that kind of dark academia kind of feel. Bold colors are mature and understated and tend to feel more traditionally masculine. Bright colors are loud, punchy, and a lot more youthful. And then pastels are like happy, they're kind of quiet colors, and they're traditionally more feminine. Once you have your color palette, assembling outfits becomes a lot easier because theoretically you can just kind of pick 2 things from your wardrobe and they'll look good together. Though a general rule of thumb is to pick a neutral color, a color, and then some other third color. And again, theoretically, you should be able to pick whatever color and it'll look good, but whatever you pick for that third color will drastically change the mood of the outfit, so that's just one thing to watch out for. You could also just use general color theory rules when picking out an outfit. If you have an art or design background, you already know a lot about color theory and how different colors go together, but if you don't have an art or design background, you can definitely look up a lot of different videos on color theory, which is really cool because people's interpretations of color are very interesting and they often are actually the same across a lot of different cultures and landscapes, so color theory is really cool. There's a lot of videos and resources out there if you're interested, so I definitely recommend looking into it because I think it's really cool. If all else fails, you can just pick one color and Google like color palettes with that color and then you'll find a bunch of stuff. Like I have one forest green shirt and I never quite know what to pick with it, so I've definitely just Googled like color palette with forest green and it comes up with a lot of different stuff I can use. I also just want to clarify that you definitely don't need to just like throw out your whole wardrobe and buy all new stuff just to fit into a color palette. Like personally, my wardrobe has kind of slowly evolved into the color palette I've fallen into. I did also kind of force some things, like I did replace items, like I replaced a lime green tank top with a more chartreuse colored tank top, for example. So that's one thing you can do if there are certain pieces you know you wear a lot and want to get one in the correct color. I also just got rid of some items that were the wrong color, so I went through all my red clothes one day and just got rid of everything that wasn't burgundy except like one red shirt and one red dress, just because I really like those pieces. Because even if something isn't like the correct color for your color palette, you can definitely still wear it. You just have to make sure you know what you're pairing it with and that it looks good with the other colors, because you might not necessarily be able to just throw things together like you can if you have a color palette that you made sure works together. So again, don't just throw out and replace your entire wardrobe, but when you are buying new things, be mindful of what colors you're picking out. So many things these days come in multiple colors, and it makes it a lot easier to just buy things in a color that works with your color scheme instead of just buying it because you like it and then struggling to style it. Some of you may be wondering how this works with patterns. Really, it's the same thing. Just do your best to make sure you're picking patterns that have colors in them that you can work with. Of course, patterns with less colors are easier to work with, so take for example this pattern skirt with maroon and black. So I could definitely just wear it with maroon and black, or I could pick some other third color. Meanwhile, this shirt has a bunch of colors going on, but it does have a few colors in there that I can work with in my wardrobe, so I can definitely integrate it really well. I hope you found this video helpful. I definitely could talk about color for forever, but I tried my best to condense it down into a more consumable length. If you do want any more information on anything, feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my best to get back to you and kind of refer you to any other resources you may want. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.